Alright, Mr. Grease Monkey. I meant to record a little video before I even started, but I kind of slipped my mind. But anyway, anybody else watching this? This is the kind of stuff that old gatekeeper does when he's in the wrong about things. Mr. Grease Monkey here ordered a preamp from me, and I had some unfortunate health issues pop up and this and that, plus being mixed with being backed up, but I didn't get it done on the time that we had agreed to get it done on, and he was basically wanting his money back, and I gave him an offer. Well, hey man, to make up for it, how about if I just build you a 2-pill? And I think he thought about it for a day or two, and I think it kind of hit him. God dang, I can't turn down a 2-pill now. A 2-pill for $64.99. Oh, well, no, I can't turn that down. I think he may have spent a little extra for the bigger relay, but anyway, 64, 70, 80 bucks, something like that. So this very fortunate fellow is getting himself a pretty custom little 2-pill here. I guess I didn't really think of how much extra work it was going to take with being in this case. Let me explain what this case is. I built 2 other amps like this, but it was like 4 or 5 years ago. A buddy of mine, Mr. Georgia or Redneck, GR, out here around the northeast Georgia area, he gave me 3 of these cases on a trade. Well, they were amplifiers. 3 of these amplifiers on a trade. And I might still have that board still laying right here. I'm gonna look. I think I got it sitting out here. Where is it at? This is my junk table right here. It's sitting right here somewhere. Or maybe it's not. Well, anyway, basically what it is 150 megahertz. It's 150, here it is. There it is right there. Bring this back into the plastic box where I work at. Keep the heat out or the cool in, whichever time of the seasons it is. So anyway, this right here is the amplifier that's in it. It was in the case. I had 3 of these. And basically what you're looking at here is a 1 driving 1. A single transistor driving a single transistor. Tuned circuit transformerless amplifier. Built for VHF. This is built for about 150 megahertz, 150 to 154 megahertz, I believe it is. So this right here is actually, can't remember if it's biased or not. It may be, but that doesn't matter. But anyway, it's a 1x1 because it's designed to take in probably like 250 to 500 milliwatts and then turn it up to about 30, 25, 30, probably somewhere around there, watts on FM. And maybe sideband, but I doubt it. I think this is just a Class C. Yeah. This is a Class C. There's your choke to ground. There's your choke to ground through that resistor. 2 stud mounts, got some metal clads on the back there. So anyway, so yeah, now I got 3 of these boards. Decent little open frame relays there. I don't know. I studied this board one time. I can't remember what this middle leg is doing, but that doesn't matter. But anyway, so if you can kind of imagine, this was sitting here in here like this right here. Okay. And this right here is the bottom of the amp, and there was nothing on the front. It was completely blank. Reason why: this amplifier is designed to be hooked up in line and to stay on indefinitely. So it's designed for a system to give amplification but not have an on and off switch. Of course, you could on and off the power right here to it if you wanted to, and that would turn it on and off, but it's designed, you know, basically to go with another radio to stay amplifying power at all times. What is that doing? Okay. Sorry, I'm looking up there. I've been designing a piece of software for like the past 2.5 months, basically to be doing something for me on the autopilot. Hold on a second. I gotta click on this. That's a Slavic. Doing a little bit of DX here. A DX on another level, I guess you could say. There we go. Let me try that right there. Alright. FT to the 8er. Alrighty here. FT to the 8er from Indicator. Alright. C language. So I have used these neat little cases in the past twice to build like little two pills out of, just for the fun of it. And this was basically the only case I had available to build a little 2-pill for this fella. So here we are. And as you can see, because of the style this took a lot of extra time. Another thing, the heat sink wasn't in the best of shape, so I got some high temperature, like 2,000 degree paint, and I don't have an oven to put it in here, but I put it out there in the hot sun, and I repainted the heat sink for them, which I didn't have to do. But you know, I'd rather you have an amplifier that's new, that at least looks new, you know, and don't look all scratched up and everything. But one cool thing is my my painter. I brought this to him to get painted about 2 or 3 years ago and just never used it yet, so I'm getting to use it now. I was going to build something out of it at one point, but that's that metal flake black. It's not technically candy. We've never attempted to do a black licorice candy yet, but we are actually going to be attempting to. It's pretty hard to do a candy painted black. Some painters will tell you it's impossible to do a candy painted in black. You have to have other colors of the spectrum, but he believes he can do something like that. It's kind of hard to see the candy on black regardless, but he's still going to do it anyway. We're going to try it out. So anyway, I was going to put one of my Russian variables in, but it was not going to fit because the variable is going to be sitting right here. So it wasn't going to fit. So I went ahead and put a brand new Texas Star 100 ohm variable in here. And these puppies are not cheap. You can't even buy them brand new anymore. So some of my old stock, my Texas Star stock, I'll be out of these at some point. So just keep in mind, yes, these are 2-watt variables, but you can't drive the heck out of them or you will blow the variable. Okay, this is mainly to be used if you're using a radio that isn't balls to walls. If you're using like a small radio, 4-watt radio, maybe 10-15 peak watts, you can turn it down a little bit. This is mainly going to be used if you're using this as a driver, and if you need to adjust this to bump your dead key down a little bit, if you can't have that control no more with your radio. Meaning if you can't do no more with your radio, you know, maybe if you turn your radio back anymore, then your total output's going down. But let's say you got your output where you want, but that dead key's still a tad bit high, this may allow you to turn it down a little bit. But I would not run this down all the way. That's just literally putting complete full stress on that variable. And of course you could pull it down all the way if you really was running a super small radio and all, but you know, I don't know the actual mathematics right offhand of how much that actually can take. I've never done it. I got together with my buddy the genius. I'm sure we could figure it out. But anyway, I just want to do a quick video, man, before I go any further. I'm about to solder these power wires in here, which this is it's a pretty hefty zip cord here. So I'm about to solder this power wires in here, and I'm about to tune it. I'm not just going to put set capacitors in here. You know, this is in a different case than I normally use. The lengths of everything is, you know, little stuff's a little bit different, so I'm going to tune it. But don't matter, I tune all my amplifiers anyway. I don't never just put a set capacitor. I could throw a 180 right here, and in the back I could throw a 150 to a 180 and it'll work fine. But I'm going to tune it out so we can get the best performance out of this. So I'm about to go ahead and tune her, and then after that I'm going to put it together. So you got your on off, preamp, sideband, variable. There's your preamp right there. I didn't have enough room to do a preamp with an invert circuit, which I normally do. That's so you can use the preamp with the amplifier turned off. I mean, I probably could have fit it, but things are so squeezed right now. I'll just put a regular preamp in there. Most people don't even use their preamps with the amplifier off anyway. So anyway, we'll be back.
If you feel alone or think that you are, you're going to feel 10 times as much alone as you would in any other condition.
All right, here's a movie done.
Entity, like an entity.
Yep.
Alright, brother, I got this thing all tuned out now.
Is that something entirely different than Astro's?
Just back in my box of trimmers here.
Can you gauge
I
that?
would say yes, it is something different.
Listening to
I've read the book Entity. I was pretty much, I was fascinated by it because I wanted to understand what that
listening
was.
to the monumental
I don't
Art Bell
believe
here.
that it was someone who was out of body. I don't know.
God rest his soul, man. The king of paranormal talk radio. Alright, man, well, I got this thing tuned out for you. Got your input, output capacitor right there.
Sure.
And it first had some major input reflect, and probably has to do with this particular ferrite that I use on the input transformer. So I had to readjust the input cap all the way up to 1,000 picofarads. So that laid that input right on down. See, sometimes you have to do a little bit of actual work after you build these things. So anyway, this is the hot radio up here, 8 watts RMS, and we're on 14.3 volts, 500s in PEP, thousands in RMS. So this is what we're getting here. About 460, 470, almost 500 RMS. Almost 200 bird, a little bit under. Input reflect now. Really low. Really low, especially compared to the 2+ watts that it was. So yeah. Oh, what happens if we just bump it up to 15 too real quick? No, that's 500. No, right there, just about right there at the 200 mark. All right, that's way too much power for this amp. This amp does not need to be running that strong. This is what you would call a compromised amplifier. Meaning, yes, that's normal for a regular 2-pill, but this isn't going to be designed to be doing 500 watts. Okay, because this heat sink is not big enough to disperse that type of heat. I mean, just already I can feel this heat sink getting a tad bit warm, but I have been tuning on it, so that's not a complete good reference for that. But, and also I want to let you know too, on the actual preamp over here, I did tune that for your feed through, and the feed through is very low, almost virtually no reflect. Here, I'll show you really quick so I don't have to do all this really. When I get the top on, 5-watt slug in reverse, here's your feed through. No, just barely a little bit of wiggling. Alright man, this thing's all tuned up, so now the fun part begins. Is hooking all these long wires to this and then getting the top actually on it. So there's going to be wires hanging out, you know, all over here, but hey, there's no way you get around it. But I just wanted to show it all finished up before I did that. And I need to back the amp down just a tad bit, which I'm going to do that resistive. We'll be back with the finished product.
I don't focus on the negative, and I don't do anything to harm anyone.
Alright brother, I've got her all hooked together. This right here is just giving a ground from here to the case. It's got the LEDs to here. That's just the way I do my LEDs anyway, which is one of my signature things that the old gatekeeper does. I have not seen any other guys do their LEDs like this. I'm just simply using holders and then have little lugs on them, ground them to the case, so you don't have to use wires for each LED going down to the case. You'll see sometimes X-Force, a couple other guys will take the wire and wrap it around the switch and mount it in there that way, which will work. That works fine too. But this way, you know, if a switch ever gets loose, that connection's gone. These right here are torque gone. But, you know, that's just LED. Then another thing I do that a lot of other guys don't do is I use 3mm LEDs. Main reason why is because I couldn't find no lugs big enough for 5mm. Which I think I found some now. I just hadn't made any changes. Heck man, it don't matter how big the LED is. Alright man, well anyway, she's working. Lost about 50 watts going through the variable, which is understandable. Even with the variables all the way up, you still have a little bit of loss going through there, which is just fine. That's understandable. Sometimes I've seen even more than that drop out of it. But anyway, I still got to add a little attenuator here. Sorry, I didn't even have the camera on there. I'm sitting there just staring at it. But the tricky thing is I need to get this top on here. That's the tricky thing. And also I need to make sure that this part of the case is going to have a ground for the LEDs. If I appear to be having an issue with that, I may have to add one more wire, preferably a very thin wire, flexible wire, to solder from the board up to one of these LED holders. I may have to, it may be smart to go ahead and do that so I don't have the top on and then it not work and we have to take the top back off. I don't preferably want to take this top back off, or shall I say the bottom back off if I don't have to, because the only thing holding us back here with the ground is it is a painted case now. You've got one screw back here, it's painted and I don't really want to rough that up. And you've got your 2 screws for the heat sink down here, which that would work too, but there again we got paint right here. I would have to rough this up right here, and that's another thing, is I got to figure out which screws I'm going to be using as well. You know, if I find some screws that maybe are got pretty big heads on them, I may rough that up very, very carefully where you won't be able to see it. Well, I found my screws I'm going to be using. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Alright. Alright man, I'm going to get the top on here and we'll be back for one final quick snippet just showing all put together. And so far I have not been successful finding the fan to fit the top just fine. I gotta go see how I did that 4 or 5 years ago, because I added a fan to one of them. We'll be back. Oh, I'm hitting the bed, by the way. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, GK said that on this cat picking in. I'm getting my beauty sleep. We'll see ya. Alright, brother. I'm all done. I was able to get the top on there just fine, or the bottom, I guess you can say. A little bit where I painted the heat sink kind of rubbed off during building it, but it's alright. And I'll be honest with you, man, after these things are put together, there's some pretty cool little amplifiers. You know, they got set up right here where you can take this thing and mount it to the wall, or mount it to the floor, or mount it to whatever. And I will repeat, yes, this amplifier can do 500 watts peak. It can do 200-300 bird RMS, but this amp is not designed to be doing that amount of power. Look, yes, it's a 22879 2-pill. If I was you, I would run it like a 1-pill. Run it half throttle. Don't be swinging 40-50 watts peak into this amplifier, okay? Hit it with like a 10 to 15 watt radio. Maybe 20 watt radio at the most. If you can, get it to where it's doing about 200 peak and let it roll. Okay, I've looked all the way through all the fans that I own here, and I do not have one fan that will fit on this amplifier properly, because at this point I don't know what fan I used with that one time. Because the thing about other amplifiers, they have lesser room in between the fins, and you can set it there just perfect. Use a perfect screw to where it wedges the fan, that wedges the screw in between there to hold the fan onto it. Well, this just isn't working that good. So if you want to add you a fan to this, I guess I'll let you get creative to that. But I mean, just monitor the heat, monitor how hot the heat sink's getting, and just, you know, use it as a small driver. Just don't drop the heck out of it, man, because the heat sink will get hot and you will blow a pill if you ever drive this thing. It's not designed to be a monster hungry 2-pill. Alright, so your first switch is your on and off. Your second switch is your preamp. I ain't got my coax was ran over by a dang lawnmower out there. I ain't got my antenna hooked up, but I did hook it up, make sure there was some increase in the RF on the radio, so the preamp is working. And here is your SSB delay switch. This LED right here is not for the SSB. This is your transmit LED. See, that's your transmit LED, okay? This is your sideband delay switch. Of course, that's your variable. Alright, ohm, variable all the way up, 14.2 volts. We should yield about 400 watts. I got it turned down just a tad internally. Oh, right there, about 400 watts, okay? RMS. Go about 160 or so RMS. Alright. Now, if I take this and put it about half throttle, the PEP, the peak wattage, will drop to right there about 200 watts. A little bit past 200 watts. RMS. About 60-70 RMS. So it gives you good control. This variable does give you good control with the extra work that I did inside of it. Okay. And then of course, if I was you, I'd try not to run it down any much more than that right there. But just for the heck of it, we'll turn it down to 25%. Just a little bit more than 120 watts. Go maybe 20-30 RMS. Alright, back all the way up. Yeah, back all the way up. Turn the voltage up. Just see what it's going to do on 15 volts. Go about 450 RMS. Go not too much more. Alright. Well, there you go, brother. Back on 14.2. Oh yeah, right there about 400 watts. Alright, I've been keying on it just a little bit there. The heat sink is starting to get just a tad bit warm, but also I am driving a bit of a strong radio into this amp right now also. Okay, the way I've got everything set up, if you put a radio about half the strength of this one that I got on here, you should be getting about 250, 300 watts peak before you turn the variable down, and about 100 bird. Okay, that's pretty much where I want this thing to be. Alright, I gotta label this thing up. I'll probably put a gatekeeper amp sticker right here, and on the back it's kind of there ain't a lot of room to label this in the back, but I'm gonna have to label it somehow or another. I'll have to figure out somewhere to put this, but as you can see, your input is on the left. This is where your radio hooks up to, on the left right here. Antenna is on the right. Okay. Alright, I'll come back one more quick time just to show the what it looks like all labeled up. And I may not even worry about labeling the front, since these are so close together, being all the small switches, and plus you pretty much know because I made this video. On off, preamp, SSB delay. Alright bud, we'll be back. Alright, all done. I was able to fit the labels back here. So there you go. Tell you what's some thick wire going in this little small amp here. Alright man. Let's see, if I had to do this from the ground up and put it for sale, I would probably ask probably about 250 bucks for it. So that'll give you an idea. Of how much you saved for accepting my offer. So in the future I need to get my stuff done on time so I don't have to give nobody offers like this and lose money and time. But I hope you'll be happy with it, brother. And just always remember, old GK treated you right. We got down and I'm good and I'm gone. Bye bye.